So this is Ty Matthews, your host, and today we've got a special guest, Damon Jackson, who's a UFC veteran. So Damon, you got an upcoming matchup with Charles Rosa. Now, what would you say his strengths and weaknesses are?
I definitely like the matchup for grappling. He's got solid jiu-jitsu, and he's not really scared to go to the ground. So that's either gonna make it, a stand-up battle the whole time, or it's gonna be, you're gonna see who's a better grappler. So I definitely think his grappling is his strength, and his stand-up's not bad. He switches stances a lot, so it's kind of tricky. But he's got kind of like a combo of like karate and just weird, like unorthodox style. So definitely something I would look out for. But I bet the fight goes to the ground.
So, how would you rate your jiu-jitsu compared to his?
I think if you look at like the number of times that like my fights have gone to the ground and his fights have gone to the ground, if you look at the finish rate, I definitely, I'm 18-4, 18 wins, and I have 17 finishes. So I think my jiu-jitsu is definitely better for, overall, it's better.
Would you say you're better on the stand-up as well, or would you give him an edge there?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's why I think that this is a good matchup in a lot of ways for both of us, because we both know that there's risk on the ground. So it could be one of those things where we stand up the whole is what's going to happen. But I definitely think that he has an unorthodox style. But walking forward, boxing and wrestling, I think I'll do well with him.
So, before this, you obviously lost to the top prospect, Ale Topura.
Yeah.
What do you think of his talents, and do you think he'll be a contender one day?
No, I definitely think the kid's got a lot of talent. I think that Ryan Hall, it's a great move for him to go to Ryan Hall, because Ryan Hall, he was so unorthodox when he first came in. So people were kind of scared to fight him just because they didn't want to deal with like the leg lock game. And so he was tricky, but that's actually a good matchup in a lot of ways for a lot of people. So if you got good submission defense at all, you can fight Ryan Hall all day. And I wouldn't mind fighting Ryan Hall. Like I would do the same thing to him. Get him in bad position and ground and pound. And but Ilya, man, he kind of came out of nowhere. He's got a lot of talent. He was really strong. He felt like he had really good power. He had really good strength. So I think I could see him being top 10, soon. But I don't know how ready he is for an all around good style fight. Like he caught me off guard. I wasn't prepped for that fight. I should have been grappling a lot more, and really I should have been working my boxing more. But I wasn't quite prepared for that fight. So I wouldn't mind running back with him later, but I would never ask for another. I wouldn't call him out or anything. But he's I see him in the top 10 soon for sure.
On your Twitter, like a month ago, you called out Darren Elkins. That's what the fight you wanted before you got the Charles Rosa matchup.
Yeah.
Is that a future matchup you feel will happen?
I think it is, because in a lot of ways it makes sense, because we both kind of like came into the UFC and we both kind of we got our top 30 rankings from beating Mirsad Bektic. So we both beat him, and we both kind of did the same thing, where I took the fight on short notice. I came back at the very end and I got a submission, and he was losing the whole first and second, and then he came back in the third and got a submission. So I think in a lot of ways it kind of makes sense, because we both kind of built our name off of that win. And I would like to come into that fight just thinking that I'm the better grappler again, and just to prove it this fight, I want to go out there and get a submission for sure. And then Darren Elkins is definitely like next on my list, and I would love to fight him. Just not even like a call out, just like I was looking at different matchups, and I was like, man, Charles Rosa has been in the game for a long time. Like let's see if he wants to fight. He accepted the fight, first day. TJ Laramie, I had that matchup originally before I got the Mirsad Bektic fight. So that's something that, like, his time's passed as far as like matchups goes. Like I don't really care to have that matchup, but that's who I thought I had. But he wanted a little bit longer for his camp. So I asked if anyone else was ready to go before, October, like the middle of October, because I want to fight in October, and then I want to fight one more time, maybe like mid-December.
How did it feel returning to the UFC with a big win over Mirsad Bektic? Because obviously you got cut before, so how was the feeling of coming back and getting a win?
Yeah, it was nice, man. Like I tell a story a lot to a lot of people that like when I came out of college, all I had was wrestling and a little bit jiu-jitsu. And I had all my amateur fights with that wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I beat everyone. I subbed everyone. And so when I went pro, I had my first 9 fights in a year and a half. And so I made it into the UFC in a year and a half after I turned pro. And I think that once I was in there, I definitely wasn't ready for like a well-rounded fight. But I kind of got put in a weird position with the fights that I got, and didn't perform well, and I didn't get the win. So once I got released, I kind of felt like I was just getting started with my career, because I'd only been like 2 years or 2.5 years into my career. So like I just started. So once I made it in and got cut, it didn't really faze me that bad. And everything since then, I've just been trying to push it as hard as I can, trying to take as many fights as I could. And, I worked my way back, and it feels great to come back in there and get to fight someone that was like, he was looked at as like kind of untouchable for a lot of people. And that, I definitely have more to prove. Losing that fight against Betic it was frustrating, because I had so much momentum, and then I kind of lost it all. And then I had to pull out of my last fight due to injury. It was like TJ Laramie. I had that matchup, and then he pulled out like 3 weeks before the fight. And then they gave me Luke Sanders. I think it's his name. I don't know. He got released, but they gave me that matchup on a 1 week notice, and then I ended up I had a partial separation of my rib, so I had to pull out of the fight. I've never pulled out of a fight, man. It was really frustrating to do that. So I definitely have a lot to prove. And coming into this fight, I want to showcase everything. I want to get a big finish over this guy. No one's ever finishing by submission in the UFC. So definitely my goal is to go out there and prove I'm a better grappler.
So on this channel, normally I ask a fight prediction, normally in the fighter's weight class. And I've been thinking, why not just make it a thing? So Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway is happening in November. Who do you have for that matchup?
What was the match? Sorry, I had some noise right here.
It's Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, I see Max Holloway. I think Rodriguez is he's definitely exciting to watch. But I think that he hasn't had those 5-round fights and all those 3-round back and forth like crazy fights like Max has. And I think that Max has that experience over him. So unless Yair catches him like in the first or second with some like unorthodox kick or something like crazy, I think Max has it. I think Max will piece him up boxing, and I think Max will shut down his kicks with boxing. I think that Max has that fight. I think he wins all rounds.
Well, let's finish this off. Your prediction for Charles Rosa. How long will the fight last, and how will you get it done?
Definitely, I'm gonna go out there heavy hands and pressure and I'm gonna make him try to think he's a wrestler, and make him shooting in. And I'm gonna press him hard and get that sub for sure.
Well, thank you for your time, Damon. This has been the Combat Station. We had our guest Damon Jackson, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Goodbye, my friend.